Hello and
You will get.
welcome to the New Gig Podcast. I'm your host, Glen Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the CEO of Giga, the founder of G, Mr. Claes Persson. How are you doing, Claes?
I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing well and delighted to have you on the show. I'd like to begin by asking a little bit about Giga and G. For those people who are not already aware of the companies and the services that they offer, could you give us a little bit of background?
Oh yeah. I can start off with Giger. Giger is a gig working platform, which is basically a cloud-based self-service umbrella company,
Mm,
where any gig worker could actually benefit from working under our umbrella, where we do or we actually providing scheduling, staff pooling, payroll, invoicing, and all the transaction-based stuff
yeah.
as a self-service cloud-based platform. And with that said, we have a very high automation, so it's very scalable.
Mm,
And of course, since it is, we have the opportunity to actually provide the services very effective and cheap to our clients.
yeah.
We are also, as I understand it, the first European publicly listed gig platform.
Right. Yeah. And how is that? Because that's kind of a sign of maturity, a sign that this is taking things seriously, here for the long term, and creating extra levels of seriousness and credibility within this fast-moving sector.
Yeah, I think it's very important to provide that kind of credibility, and
Mm,
because honestly, there are a lot of crooks out there. There are
okay.
lots of people who are using other people. They might be very tough with negotiation. They underpay people and such. And being publicly listed is a very good way of having everyone's eyes on you because you have to be super transparent.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
another way of being very, very well to follow the rules and being a part of the good guys is actually by joining platforms for Företagen, because
Yeah.
then you have the code of conduct that you have to follow,
Yeah.
and that's also a way of being transparent and also tell the world that, hey, we're playing by the rules, we're doing the taxes, we care for our gig workers and such.
Mm. And I think this is an important point because the platform economy, gig economy, has been painted in very black tones over the past few years. Um, some of it may be justified by the platform economy 1.0 and some of the mistakes and missteps that have been made there. So it's great that you underline this and the importance of having this code of conduct and actually doing things properly. And the fact that there are people who want to play by the rules, pay the taxes, follow rules, and take responsibility within the sector.
Yeah, but the only way to be sustainable is actually to play by the rules
Mm.
and take care of your clients, customers, and gig workers. And we are trying our very best. I mean, we are providing extra pension savings.
Mm.
We're providing the debt collection for free, because that is also a tricky part for a gig worker. You're having one client, and now you're going to call that one and say, "Hey, you haven't paid on time," which
Mm.
might compromise the relationship. No, we do
Yes.
it. We do it for free, because
Yeah.
that's one of the hustles, the way to, well, how to get paid,
Yeah.
because 71% of the gig workers are actually living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's important that these services are provided and also that people understand the fact that it's not so simple. You do need to be able to sort of pay your way. And it's, you can't be waiting 30, 60, 90 days extra for a bill to be paid. There's someone else waiting at the other end of the line, which is really important. And of course, gig workers and platform workers, they want to focus on what they're best at. They want someone else to take care of the complicated, time-consuming, and burdensome activities behind this.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, look, if you are skilled in your professions or in your profession or professions, then of course you would like to sell your hours.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend hours on doing things that's not your profession, or uh,
Yes.
well, a little bit like myself, I'm not a very good administrator. So why should I focus on doing that when there are people that are super good doing it? And within our platform, it's very simple. I mean, you don't have to spend any time doing
Yeah.
that because it's fully optimized.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. And what kind of people are using the gig as services? Is there a specific sector or a specific type of person, or is it more broad than that?
Well, the type of person is a gigger. Apart from that, there is nothing. I mean, we have everything from this wonderful full lady who's making the crosswords for all the churches in Sweden.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and she invoices them through us,
Yeah.
and that's it's fun to follow. But we also have the gardeners, the IT
Yeah.
consultants.
Yeah.
So I would say that we are pretty broad, which is a very good thing, because if
Mm.
you are not that vulnerable if you don't focus on one area.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if we only had musicians during the pandemic now, it would have been a
Right.
horrible thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to be broad and can also bring the benefits and the knowledge and the learnings from different sectors, which of course can be applied to other sectors as well, which is probably one of your strengths.
Yeah, the cross-referencing things. And I mean, there is a reason for us growing 89% during the pandemic, where all the other ones were losing ground, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you put that down to sort of the success of being able to offer a service, as well as a certain stickiness as well with your customers and clients.
That's right. That's right.
And
So it's a nice journey. And as I said, you have to care for the gig workers, because it is the new normal to become
yes.
a gig worker.
Yeah.
As the world is optimizing everything else, of course, work is going to be optimized as well. I mean, look, if I'm doing a merger and acquisitions, I will probably need a specialist helping me with that.
Yeah.
But do I want to hire this guy for the rest of his life? No.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. No, you need to keep the balance right. And it's interesting you say this, Claes, because you've talked a little bit about sort of the gig workers, but also the companies and organizations as well. How important is it for them to have a gig strategy to be able to integrate freelancers, gig workers, platform workers into their businesses and their business models?
Well, I think that's a part of future-proofing your business,
Hmm.
because as everyone learned during the pandemic, having a big staff is not really the nicest thing when a pandemic hit. You have to
Yeah.
be able to upsize or downsize as you go. And I would say, even, I mean, if you take the H&M, the
Mm.
clothing stores and everything, why on earth would you have permanently 14 people working in a store when all of a sudden it's sunny and 28 degrees outside? Everyone's at the beach.
Yes.
Every customer is at the beach. I need 4 people. You must be able to
Yeah.
actually staff as you go.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm calling future-proofing your business. I
Hmm.
mean, we are not back in the industrial days, or when you actually took your employees into your balance sheet.
Right.
We're not there anymore. It's a liability.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's not an asset in the same way anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. So things
So
are.
future-proofing your business is actually, that is taking or adopting some kind of gig strategy.
Yeah.
I believe so.
And it's a benefit in terms of increasing efficiencies, but surely also for gig and platform workers, they can focus on the things they're good at. They can actually give the impact. They can actually provide the services when and where it's needed, but also work for several employers as well, so that this keeps you fresh, that keeps you up to date, and at the cutting edge, so that your skills, knowledge, and expertise are valuable to the marketplace.
Yeah, definitely. But also the young people of today, they're not like when I grow up. I mean, I'm old and fat and 50 years old nowadays. And when I grow up, or when I started to work, when you were looking at someone's CV, if you haven't spent 3 years with the company, you were considered being one, well, not too loyal
Okay.
employee.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I talk to my son. He's 22 years old. He
Yeah.
got he was a substitute in a Nike store.
Yep.
And they offered him a full-time job. And I said, okay, so did you accept? And he said, well, kind of. What do you mean, kind of? No, I told him I can work half-time. And I said, why did you tell your boss that? No, because it covered my bills. And then I told him, do you think it's my dream to sell bloody sneakers here for the rest of my life? I want to spend the rest of the 50% finding out what I really want to do.
Yeah, got it.
And that is a significant change, isn't it, in the attitude with the young people?
Yeah, so the whole idea of future of work, career progression is kind of turned on its head, basically.
Oh, yeah. You should be happy if you can keep someone a full year nowadays.
Yeah. And so the whole idea of the 9-to-5 structure, as well as you give away sort of 30, 40 years of your life and you'll get a gold watch at the end of it, is basically something that's consigned to history.
Well, it feels like that. Like Dolly Parton, 95. She's also history, isn't she?
That's true. That's true. And I think it is probably a good step as well, Claes, because we see the statistics even from here in Sweden. The number of people who either dislike or absolutely hate their job, and this was even before the pandemic, was over 60%. So there's obviously individuals as well as corporations wanting more flexibility and a new way of doing things. So it seems like we're knocking on an open door.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the interesting thing is this: you're talking about the 60% of the workers that don't want to work like that. Okay, take a look at the employees or employers, sorry, which actually 71% of the Swedish companies, they would like to assign someone. They don't want to hire them permanently.
Yes.
So if 70% would like to do that, and 60% of the people don't want to have a full-time fixed job, well, why are some pedaling the other way right now? And with some, I'm talking about, for instance, the unions. Yes. They must find a more flexible way of. Because I do appreciate the work. I know what they're doing. I understand that they try to protect the worker and everything.
Right.
But I think they have to find new ways of doing it because it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. As an example, I mean, if you look at the thing called a-kassa here in Sweden, when you get the unemployment pay, I asked one union this question when I was talking to them, like, okay, so you would like to protect the worker, right? And if you look at the a-kassa phenomenon, how do you calculate that? Is it how many days you've been home or unemployed and how many hours a day you normally work, right? Yes, that's right. All right. Well, then you're not future-proof, my friend, because if you take one of the most common gig workers, which is translators, they are paid by the word. They are paid by the word. So now try to fit them in. Exactly how many words do they do in 1 hour, 1 day? So
it's a different approach, and I'm really interested in what you said about the influence of the pandemic, because as you said from your statistics there, you're doing very well. The company Giga is doing fantastically in these times. So you've obviously hit on something as we go through this pandemic, hopefully come out of it. And of course, the world of work is not going back to what it was before. We need to be able to bring online these new processes, a new way of doing things very quickly.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's not just the companies that learned a little bit of a lesson. Imagine this: if I'm working as a hotel receptionist, then I am a hotel receptionist, right? But when I got fired because they shut down all the hotels, I had to start to look at my skills.
Yes.
And as a gig worker, you can sell skill by skill. I might have a driver's license for a truck. Now I can be a truck driver one day, but I can also be a janitor at the school another day because I have that kind of skills as well. So as a gig worker, you can sell your skills, not your job title.
That's a great point.
I think that brings some kind of awakening there, that don't be afraid of selling your skills. It's actually safer than just having a job title.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing, because the world of work is changing, but also the disruption within the world of work as well. So whole sectors which are becoming obsolete, not just by automation, but by changing tastes and preferences. So future proofing yourself as well by focusing on your skills as opposed to the job title sounds like a very good strategy as well, Claes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And sometimes I'm not going to be too much of a philosophical guy here because
Please
I'm
do.
not.
This is the place for it. Go on.
Okay. Well, do you know what? The gig economy, when you're selling your skills, is actually challenging the gig worker more to deliver, to keep their skills updated than a
Mm,
regular full-time fixed income worker.
right.
Because if you in Sweden are that, you're impossible to fire. You could just, slide around being kind of good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
As long as you are kind of good at what you're doing, well, then everyone's happy. But
Yeah.
as a gig worker, you have to be really good
Mm,
because otherwise you will not get another assignment.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it shines the light on you in another way where you
Mm,
have to be even better
yeah.
than the fixed income worker.
Yeah.
And with that said, I the whole debate and the whole discussion regarding gig workers, I would say like this: if you're a gig worker and you are keeping your skills up to date and you're practicing and you're good at what you're doing, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with an athlete. If
Yeah.
you are a long distance runner, of course you have to practice. You have to out there and
Mm,
run.
yeah.
You cannot sit around like me with the big belly and just, believe that you're going to win the first prize without practicing and
Right.
training.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I think that this whole idea of being hungry, actually investing in yourself to stay current and at the top of your game is a huge thing, but also hugely attractive for organizations, potential employers of your skills and services.
Yeah, definitely. And even though, with that said, we have to create an ecosystem around the gig workers to protect them as well.
Yep.
Because I'm not throwing them at the lions and say, hey, now you better be the fastest runner. No, no,
Yes.
no. We have to create, and that's why I founded G,
Yep.
the gig bank. It is to provide an ecosystem where the gig worker, not just working for his paycheck, he could also afford to get a loan to educate themselves or feel that they can save for the pension or develop themselves in another way, not just
Yep.
chasing the next paycheck.
Mm.
And I think that is super important for future proofing the gig work as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point to be able to underline this. And I'm interested in what you say there as well, because one of the things that we seem to see are there are barriers, mental barriers in terms of still platform economy workers and gig workers being seen as some kind of parallel track, which is kind of a second class citizen in some cases, but also being excluded from the things, as you say, being able to take a loan, getting the right insurance, these kind of things. So it's great you're stepping in to be able to fill that void.
Yeah, but even I, when I walk into a bank, they don't treat me really good, do they? I
Hmm.
mean, as a regular person, what kind of, I mean, Glenn, what's your relationship to your bank?
Well,
Do you have any?
no, most of it's online, so there's not a particularly strong physical link to the bank. And I'm one of those weird characters who's actually changed banks. I know this. They say you're more likely to die to get divorced and move house before you change bank, but I'm one of the few who have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I ask that question, normally it's either I don't have any relationship, they charge me too much, they always say no, and I hate them. They're stiff, but uptight. Those are the most common answers. And
Yeah.
imagine then if you're walking in there and you're asking, you need to buy an apartment, so you want a mortgage.
Hmm.
And then they ask you, so what do you do for a living? And you say, I'm a gig worker. And they're looking at you like something the cat dragged in from the street. And it's like, gig worker. Let's see. So
Yeah.
How do you work then? No, I'm working through a gig platform. A gig platform, you say. Interesting. So, are, why are you here then? Are you a private or are you a business?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there we go. Now you're disqualified. Bye. There's the door.
Yeah. You don't fit into the black and white sort of this is the box 1 or box 2. And if you don't fit in either, it's you're just not interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we need to change, because if we're going to have this kind of optimized work
Mm,
environment where we're taking things further and further, and
mm,
people are going to survive actually being gig workers or at least feel supported, then we need to change a lot of things,
yeah.
including, of course, the authorities' ways of seeing gig working as well.
Yeah.
I know I'm changing the subject a little bit, but one of the challenges is, well, one of the challenges are, for instance, um, work environment stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
which is a hot subject, I know, and
Yeah.
but also tax authorities. How do they see gig working? And then we just take every authority and we look at the laws, and the laws hasn't changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're from the 50s or 60s.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a need for getting up to speed, making the changes as the sort of the sector evolves, that the rules, policy, and regulations also change to accommodate the facts.
Yeah, and bear in mind, I mean, gig working is the oldest way of working.
Hmm.
I mean, there were no fixed income, lifelong works before. You worked when there was an opportunity to work or when someone needed help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the only thing that happened is that we have digitalized it and
Hmm.
optimized it. So
Yeah.
the whole idea of the gig economy is not new.
Mm, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, you touched upon the issue of work environment there, Claes, and
Mhm.
that's really, really interesting because we're going through a period now in a Swedish setting whereby the work environment laws and regulations are up for discussion and need to be revised. If you had Eva Nordmark as the Swedish minister in front of you now, what are the sort of the top things you'd be saying that they should be looking at?
Well, first of all, I think we should put more of the responsibility onto the gigger
Hmm.
um, itself. You know, the person, the gigger, must know more what they could expect and demand.
Yeah.
We need to educate the gigger to actually raise the level of knowledge, and also push their assigner basically that, look,
Yeah.
this is not good. This is not good. I know what the law says, and look, this is no good. It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that.
Yeah.
Because for us as a gig platform, we're having about 10,000 gig workers in the platform. Should I go and expect every work environment for them?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know that they are going to be one of my clients until they already performed. They
Mm.
already delivered the project, and
Yeah.
they're sitting down by the computer sending an invoice.
Yeah.
So what should I do then? If I might provide me with a crystal ball that I can rub and see that this person in the future will come here and invoice. Let's go inspect the work environment.
Yes.
Look, I
Yeah.
mean, it's an impossible task. And then we have to find together the best way of protecting the gig workers.
Yeah.
And I think in this case, it is educating the gig workers, educating the assigners, and I think the secret sauce is there, not trying to, well, push us into court
Yeah.
to test us, or I don't understand
Hmm.
the idea behind that.
Yeah, because the message is out there. We want to collaborate. We want to co-create. We want to build the future together, so that people are protected, but also that we're reasonable and rational about how we take responsibility. But let's be realistic about what can be done and what can't be done. So it sounds like a very clear and very sensible approach, actually, Klaus.
Yeah, but that approach, I mean, look at the tax authority. I just love them. I mean, I never thought I was going to say that I love the tax authority, but they've really got it. I mean,
Yeah.
in the discussions with them, they are saying, okay, yeah, we understand you're making black money, white money because they
Yeah.
use the platform, because it's easy to
Mm.
work in a legal way now.
Yeah.
What can we do to help you?
Right.
And they're asking the question, do you need an API for root and root and stuff like that?
Yeah.
They're actually communicating and trying to co-create. And they're, stretching out their arms and embracing us and saying, we understand the gig economy is here to stay. So
Yeah.
what can we do together?
Yeah.
And
That's
that is the
excellent.
approach.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not pushing me and say, hey, you're going to pay penalties, and then I have to bring in lawyers and spend hours in court. And that I think that is the wrong approach. I think so.
Yeah, definitely. Because at the end of the day, as you say, this is something that's here. It's here to stay. The genie's well and truly out of the bottle, and this is really part of the solution rather than the problem on an economic level. It's a social level, but also a cultural level as well. So there's so many boxes that are ticked. It would be kind of crazy to ignore this, or even worse, trying to kill it off, Claes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent opportunity to lower the thresholds to get people into labor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, why not use this thing that it's a controlled environment through our platform or through my and my competitors' platforms
Mm.
to find a way of collaborating to, for instance, get young people into work where they have no references from before.
Yep.
It's not that much of a risk for me to get someone to work a few weeks on an invoice instead of hire them permanently.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing with the immigration situation. Of
Yep.
course, I mean, I would like to take references on people. And Sweden is a small country, so there's always someone knowing someone that knows this guy or girl, And with the gig economy and with this kind of platforms, it's so much easier because even if I in my ad looking for someone, I want 10 out of 10 of the requirements.
Yep.
And that is just because I would like to feel very safe with the fact that I'm going to hire someone permanently.
Mm.
I might say, yeah, well, 7 out of 10 is good enough. Let the person come and try. And it's a very ambitious person. They will learn. Okay,
Yeah.
come in here.
Yep.
And we should use the strength
Yep.
instead of trying to block it,
Mm.
because then it's counterproductive. I mean, dear unions, I do understand that you would like to protect the people, but also help them to get jobs.
Yeah.
And let's co-create the protection, because I have no problem whatsoever when anyone signs up on my platform to have like, would you like to join one of those 5 unions? Tick
Yep.
this box. I do it every day of the week because I care for my gig workers. I
Mm.
do. That's why
Mm.
I'm creating all those almost fixed job perks around my platform as well.
Yeah.
So I would invite them, but they're making it a little bit tough.
Yeah. No, that's it. And I think that you've really onto a very strong point there. The fact that allowing people into the world of work as well, migrants, young people, because we've seen lots of government schemes by Arbetsförmedlingen, so the work employment service, very expensive, and they've delivered very, very little. So surely this is an open goal as well, by utilizing the platform economy and gig economy as a way to try and a way to increase employment.
I mean, today they give 100% employment support. So you can get a worker today that you hire for 6 to 12 months completely free, and yet it doesn't work.
Yeah.
My suggestion is this. Okay, why don't you take the same person, you offer them as a gig worker, and you discount the invoice 50%.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You eliminate the risk and you just lower the thresholds. And I'm sure that it will work so much better than the way we're doing it today.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Well,
with that said, I invite Arbetsförmedlingen, I invite anyone to come and talk to me and find a way of doing this, because I'm up for it. I would add resources. I will add our resources. I will do whatever it takes, because it's a very important thing for us as a country to get the wheel spinning again, especially after the pandemic, and especially with the unemployment immigrant situation that we are facing right now. So
yeah.
I'm here with open arms. This is an
Excellent.
invite.
Well, that's it. That's a clear message being put out there, Claes. philosophy, and a call to action there. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Claes, and look forward to the next opportunity when we can speak again.
Thank you very much for this. Take care.